With all the big calls on all the big races, it's time for another What a Shout. Great to have you back this morning in conjunction with our sponsors Bet365. Welcome along to the live preview show. Half an hour, all the best previews you're going to find anywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Subscriptions through the roof this week. Absolutely loving it. If you're on Facebook, welcome along. Or indeed anything Twitter-wise, hashtag What a Shout. Over the moon with how it's going. We're in the tunnel then. The half-time oranges have been had and we are staring down the barrel of 2 glorious days. How's it been for you out there? Get your comments in below. We love the feedback. Let's get into the panel straight away. Paul Kealy, back for 3rd day in a row, man. And I'll tell you what people won't realise, I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit here. You can tell you're on better form today, man, because you're doing a little jig to the music. It's all good. It's amazing how it changes, Kills.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been banging on about Sky Pilot for ages. Actually gone on about him. Didn't think he had any chance yesterday. Then, he ended up winning. I mean, I backed him at roughly the same price as he went off at in November, December time. I wasn't expecting it. I actually had in 2 crashes in all my multiples, which is just, so
you
typical.
Basically jammed yesterday.
So typical. I'm sitting next to someone who's badgering me all day about heaven help us. And I thought, if this thing wins, it's going to annoy the hell out of me. So I better have a little saver on that. Bang.
Yeah.
You only need just a tiny little catalyst to get going, don't you?
Yes, you were naught from on the first day. Yesterday was a good day.
I haven't tipped any winners in the paper yet. Hopefully that'll change, but that's the way it is.
People have been listening to you throughout the winter kills. They know what the crack is, and I'm delighted to say across the Irish Sea go we. Our star David Jennings joins us back on the show.
Hey Dave, how are you?
Yeah, loving it, Dave. It's been, I'm the same as you. We had a quick chat before we came on. It's crossbar for me so far. I'm a little bit up, but it's a case of what might have been. Same for you, right?
Yeah, it's been a good week, slightly in profit, but could have been a great week. And Tukas was I still have sick vomit in my mouth after that because just the second last, and it was just like November I spotted it, and I've been keeping an eye and talking to Joseph, and it was all about yesterday, and just one more stride or any sort of a slicker leap at the second last, and he would have won. And my banker on day one was St. Sam, and he looked like winning coming down to the last. But Tiger Roll yesterday was obviously fantastic, and been a terrific 2 days. Obviously, no crowds and everything, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it from the couch.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. And the man that was on Sky Pirate, the one horse that beat you on Tukas, it had to be Sky Pirate, didn't it? Okay, waiting in the wings, as ever, Pat Cooney from Bet365.
Yeah, good morning, and looking forward to day 3. I think at the moment the bookmakers were probably in front after 2 days, and this day is always the tough day for punters. There's 3 handicaps today. There were 2 on the opening day and 2 yesterday, so 3 handicaps out of the 7 today. So most people have a work cut out to hit the front today, I think.
Yeah, quick word about bookmakers versus punters thus far, Pat. 14 races, 5 winning favourites. And I guess you've been starting the day thinking, here we go again. And then a couple beaten. Shackham was the big one yesterday, obviously, in the Queen Mother.
Yeah, Shackham was a big result for lots of anti-post multiples as well, which were beginning to look grim. I thought for a fleeting moment we were going to get Monkfish beat coming to the last yesterday, but it was okay. It was okay. The handicaps were fine. Heaven help us was a good result for us. So we're ticking along, and good spread of business. What you don't want really is a trainer or a jockey to have a treble or more. It's a bit like the cricket, keeping the singles and twos.
Okay, great stuff. Listen, let's get straight into it. The 120, the Marsh Novice Chase. And I think perhaps we can say, Kills, the most, it's the most interesting horse running of the entire week?
Yeah, of course he is. I mean, he's the one that everyone's been talking about.
This is Envoy Allen, of course.
Absolute superstar. Envoy Allen, he's having his 12th racing novice company. You know what I mean? He's won a champion bumper here. He's won a Ballymore last year. He's won 3 chases. And we've got a situation now where we encourage horses to spend doing half their careers or more in novice company when, he's at an age when most of the greats had won their first Gold Cups. It's not his fault. That's the way we do it. I mean, it's my view that there shouldn't be a bumper in Britain or Ireland worth more than $3,000 because literally there's just schooling races for jumpers. Now we've got an entire flat industry for jumps horses, which is just bonkers. But there you go. That's another thing. He is a very, 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 very good horse.
Yes.
He has not run on fast ground over fences. He has not run within 40 seconds of the pace he's going to need to go to win this race. Doesn't mean he can't do it.
Are you sensing a result here?
I'm always sensing a result. Look, I take on odds on most of them. In fact, the ones I thought would win got beat this year. Like, you know, it's one of those. But, you know, 13 of the last 23 since 2017 odds on shots have got beat. We've had three this week already.
It's a disturbing stat.
And even money shot 2. And no matter how many bookmakers tell you, oh, we're really scared of this, these are actually the ones they want you to back.
So what beats him? Come on.
What beats him? Well, I don't know, because this is the thing about this race. We were looking at this in advance. I thought, you know, we all thought this is going to be the weakest of all the novice races. I think it's the deepest. Okay. I think there's some very good horses in there. Chantry House and Fusel Raffles are very good. Chamblou's the best jumper in the field, and he's going to go fast and hard. Make sure that, you know, no horse is going to be able to miss a beat. And Chatham Street Lad, if they go really hard, because Darva Star could go up front as well, especially over 2.5 mile and good ground. They go really hard. Chatham Street Lad could pick them up. I mean, he absolutely bolted up when the Cheltenham handicap. All right, none of them are absolute superstars that Envoy Allen could be, but he cannot miss a beat.
He's got one next to his name with Henry de Bromhead, of course. Some week they're having DJ, aren't they? Is this going to be a result, or are we just looking the obvious here?
Yeah, look, I hate the argument that Keels is making there. I know he's not saying it's the horse's fault, but he's done what basically every horse has to do. He won his bumpers, he won his novice hurdles, and he's running his novice chases now. I don't see how we can point out and say, he should be running open company now. Why? Like, that's just the way it is. Like, it's just...
No, you're absolutely right. That's the way racing is now. But, I mean, it never used to be like that. I mean, it's not about Envoy Allen, this. It's just about bumpers. I mean, we created an entire industry for races that were purely originally for schooling races for horses that were going to go over jumps. And now we have flat horses, basically, for a year until they go over jumps. They're wasting time not doing what they should be doing.
Bat it back over to him, man. Bat it back over.
Go.
Come on.
Anyway,
let's have some healthy
otherwise
debate,
we'll run out of time.
Yeah, look, I think he'll win. I'm not going to keep it too long, Dave. I think the ground issue, I'm not too worried about that. When he won his bumper at Fairyhouse, it was good ground. He won a good to yielding ground at Leopardstown, and good to yielding ground at Leopardstown is quite quick. He won a grade 1 and good to yielding ground at Naas and the Laurels and Naas Novice Hurdle. I think he'll be fine on the ground. I think he's head and shoulders above these. As regards somebody looking for something in the bet without market, Chantry House obviously is the obvious one, and I think he's the improver. But I think it probably about 8 to 1 maybe Asteria for Lounge without. And I think ability wise, he might be the second best horse in the race. He does everything wrong, but just if he started to do a few things right here, he could finish second. NYLN beat Asteria for Lounge for me.
A great indication there of what sort of race it is. I mean, we haven't got the time, man, but Kills' face is like, who? Sorry, who? But listen, it's that sort of race. If you want to take a flyer, take a flyer. Listen, I don't think he's going to get beat. Chantry House, I totally agree with Dave, is the flyer, the potential improvement, but I'm not sensing that much confidence coming from the Henderson camp. We'll see. Right, Pat Cooney, end this argument. Give us a without market as well, man, will you?
Yeah, I actually think he will win. Everyone close to the horse says he's the real deal. They say he's Pegasus, don't they? And it's not quite there in the form book for me. So you've got to be taking him on at 4 to 9 in particular. Without the favourite market, I think that's of a great deal of attraction to an awful lot of people. And is it rude to fancy Darva Star at 12 to 1 without? He was third in the champion hurdle last year. He's a talented horse to be 12 to 1 without the favourite. It's that sort of a race, isn't it? If the favourite doesn't float your boat, plenty of spice in without the favourite market, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you apply all the trends to this race, Darva Star does end up on your shortlist. OK, that's the Marsh. Healthy debate. We're going to get all the Envoy lot coming out for kills now. That's what's going to happen, isn't it? We must, of course, move on. We've got a Pertemps Network final coming up here. It looks impossible to lots of you out there, but we must give the floor to David Jennings. Since when have we been flagging up this as the Nap Dave Imperial Alcazar?
I think people are absolutely sick of not only sick of looking at me, Dave, but sick of listening to me talking about Imperial Alcazar. Look, to me, he's just everything I want in a Pertemps final horse, apart from the fact that he's won a qualifier, and qualifiers have a desperate record in the race. But I think he's going to change that, because I think he's well above average. He's rated 147. To me, like, someday I could see this horse running a Gold Cup. I'm not saying he's going to win a Gold Cup, but I could see him running a Gold Cup. I could see him running the Brown Advisory next year. He's that sort of a horse. He's been really lightly campaigned. He's only had 9 runs in his career, 6 over hurdles. And just last time at Warwick, I just love when Paddy gave him one crack at the whip. He just took off. He won by 2 1/4 lengths. I thought he was value for at least 6. He got away with an eight-pound rise. I could just see Paddy sitting, mid to the back of the field, swinging wide off the home turn. And look, ability-wise, I think he's by far the best horse in the race. He doesn't even have top weight. He's getting weight from some of these, and ground is a little bit of an issue, but I think he'll cope. I think he'll be okay. He ran on decent ground in his bumper days, and to me, he's just the best horse in the race, and he doesn't have top weight, Dave.
I love it. Keep it simple. The ground would be something of a concern for him. This is where we ought to mention, of course, that we switch courses now. We've not managed to get that in now. What sort of surface are we expecting, Kills? You're all with them, man.
Well, I think it's going to be quick enough, isn't it? I mean, Dashel Drasher has come out of Ryanair because of the ground, and the trainers walked it this morning, so I'm assuming it's going to be good ground. We don't know that about Imperial Alcazar. I mean, he's got to give you hope if you're British, because we've got an Irishman tipping a British horse when it's 11-3 at the paddy so far. So it's... we
never learn.
Maybe the Irish handicappers are just terrible in this race. It's probably not going to prove to be the case. I like that Warwick form as well. But I do like Come On Teddy just being twice the price of Imperial Alcazar. He's £8 better off. He got himself in trouble, made a mess of the last. So I think he'll be close. There isn't so much difference between them in the price now. I also stumbled across Storm Goddess yesterday. Couldn't believe that Tom Siegel price-wise found the same horse as well. Turns out,
what, you and Tom agree?
Turns out he knows. Turns out he knows the owners, and he apparently was with them when it ran so well at Cheltenham last year, when 4th of 19 to Captain Tom on good ground. She definitely stays 3 miles. She's really unexposed at the trip. Got a good claiming jockey on.
Yeah, Tom Butley's decent.
Yeah, Tom Butley's good, and she can't have the ground fast enough, and she's down the bottom of the weights, having won a trial at Kempton, beat You Never Call, with Ball and Bill, the Lanzarote winner, in third. So I mean, it's not a bad piece of form.
Yeah.
So I like that, and I will just say, going back to the previous race, Dave, if anybody lines up outside Asterian Forlonge in the first, they should be sacked, shouldn't they?
You had to get that in, didn't you? They're
swiping
between. It's taken 3 days, and the swipe between us.
This is going to be your Bell's Hill for the next 4 years, isn't it? It's a horse that cannot possibly handle Cheltenham.
To be honest, I can't stand the horse, and I hate the way he does everything wrong. But you're talking about 8 or 10 to 1 to beat horses who I think he has more ability. Like, I think Envoy will win, but I'm just saying you're getting a great price about beating horses. I think he has more ability.
Length and a half of fence, doesn't he? At least.
Listen, we are on the clock. We've got about another 5 races to talk about after this. I'm going to throw Champagne Platinum into the mix. This is one that Team Henderson were expecting to go very close for them. Just watch back his one at Haydock last time behind Bushy Park, who's been one of the stories of the season. That horse loves soft ground and plough through the front. It's fair to say he was only asked to get going after the last. Massive eye catcher. Gamble foiled in the Kim Muir last year. This might come off here. So many horses, aren't there? I'm going to make you a little bit more excited, DJ, as well. When we spoke to Kim Bailey in this studio on What a Shout, the time that Imperial Aura, we're about to get onto him in a second, was running. Kim's nap that day was Imperial Alcazar up at Haydock when he blew out. The owners think this could be better than Imperial Alcazar. Whoa! Excitement abounds. Pat Cooney, who's going to go off Fav in the Pertemps?
Yeah, I think Imperial Alcazar, there's just too much of a buzz about the horse, really. As for the bosses, Oscar, the top weight, so unlucky, wasn't in the Martin Pipe, but he's up £13 since that run. Good apprentice claimer on him today. Champagne Platinum, he's been the mover as well, anti-post. So there's no real value at the top end of the market. I think you could look elsewhere, at 220 to 1 chances. Number 9, Spirit of the Games, the Skeltons. He's pretty good round Cheltenham, this horse. And number 10, Storm Arising. Paul Nicholls, Bryony Frost, that's 20 to 1 as well. And after that one won last time out, 68 days ago, the connection said you won't see him again till Cheltenham. So you can back 2 top stables at 20 to 1, which floats my boat more than taking the 5 to 1 about Imperial.
You wouldn't want to be Paul Nicholls' cat this week, would you? I mean, it's Southfield Harvest out in the race as well. They do fancy Storm Arising. I think Bryony will keep this ride, I think, because she does get on so well with the horse. So, listen, we've got to move on. That's a Pertemps. Turns out it's a belter, doesn't it? And, of course, coming up next, 2:30, it is the Ryanair, one of the most open races of the entire week. What a puzzle it usually is. This week's been like solving the Enigma code, isn't it? Unbelievable. Going into it, more letters than form figures. Dash or Drash it out. That's a pace angle. Who wins? Try and keep it succinct here, Mr. Kealy.
Well, I fancied Mr. Fisher for ages. I think he's got a great chance. That beating of Kalashnikov and Clonmel Castle in the Peterborough Chase. wants the ground drying out. I think he's got a really good chance. The more you look at the race, the harder it gets, though, doesn't it? You know what I mean? I think he's one of my bets of the week, anti-post, and then I look at it and I'm just sort of daunted by it. But I still think he's going to run really, really well.
Yeah, he's the one for me. I think Nico just has to sit 3 or 4 and watch back that Marsh. He gets better the further he goes. I just think this is all about it. Could be next year's Gold Cup horse if it all goes right. DJ, I know you love him.
Yeah, I think for the first time since about 1987, I'm going to agree with Paul Kealy here. I'm very much a Mr. Fisher fan. Look, I just watched the Marsh last year, and if you watch it again, I'd advise viewers to watch it because Nico rode him like he was a bit of a baby. He kind of nursed him into it, and he tried to nurse him everywhere, and it just didn't come back to him because there were good horses, Mellon, Sam Crow, Faheen. They're good horses, and he just didn't quite come back to them. But I think with this horse, I saw something different in the Peterborough Chase. He gave £3 to Kalashnikov, and to me, when the amount he found under pressure up the run in there told me that he's finally become a man, and he's a type of horse I could see running in the Gold Cup next year. I just hope that he is grown up enough for this race because it is very competitive. But to me, he's the one big improver in the race. He's the one horse that could make a massive leap from his last run, this run, especially on the ground. So I'm a Mr. Fit fan.
Since December, they were hoping to get him to the Ascot Chase. The ground was against him, but I'm hearing he's absolutely flying. They're very, very happy with him. Fakir Du Dairies, this was the dark horse I put up for this in the preview show. And if he was 10 to 12 to 1 now, I'd be putting him up as my selection. People have got to understand that. He's nearly 5 now on your kettle on winning. It's the old Arkle form, isn't it? He wants this trip. The ground, I'm not sure about, though. Let's go to Pat Cooney. He's been a right steamer.
Yeah, he's been the big mover over the last 4 or 5 days, Dave. But it's been a quiet race anti-potion because we're all thinking, well, Willie Mullins, he won't run Min, Allaho and Mellon all in the same race, will he? So it was very much a case against the Willie Mullins runner. And hey, presto, he ends up running all 3 in the race. So opening our race, Min is just about clinging on to favourite. Of course, we've got a P by his name when he belted that fence and was quickly pulled up. I don't know. Fakir is the big mover. I get Mr. Fisher. I get the ground with him. I think Imperial Aura is a fair price for Kim Bailey. Unseated early on last time out. Prior to that, he looked a Ryanair type in the making. So I think this one might be staying at home. Imperial Aura and Mr. Fisher to thwart the Irish challenge.
And risk the wrath of our senior producer, Rob Lee. Now, we're doing all right for time. I just looked at the clock. We've not even mentioned Imperial Aura. We've not. I want to go to David Min in a second, but Imperial Aura, this was your moment last year.
Yeah, handicap off of Mark 143 though, and it's totally different, isn't it? Like, and he comes here having fallen at Kempton.
He come out Ascot though, man. He beat Real Still Senseless.
He's got a great amount. He's got a great amount of ability, but I think he's too short. I think he's going to be double figures.
You think he'll drift?
I think he'll drift, and he might even tempt me in then. But I don't think he's the right price as things stand. It doesn't mean he can't win.
I can just see it now. We'll be in this seat tomorrow and be saying, I got Imperial Aura. Min, Dave, I know you've been speaking to the Mullins camp this week. What are the vibes?
Yeah, last week it kind of became apparent that Paul Townend was going to pick Min over Allaho. So I'd say that big piece of work that all these horses did last week, he was the one that there was a kind of 2 or 3 that you heard worked really well, and Min was one of those. So that's obviously why Paul Townend's on him. And he's the defending champion. It's hard to get off with the defending champion. I just hated the way he jumped past Lepersen. Everything was an effort. Like, he wasn't finding the right stride. And when Min is on song, it's effortless. I don't know. I fancied him in the race last year. He didn't have that much in hand, and he jumped brilliantly. So to me, I just wonder, is he a little bit vulnerable to one of those improvers? And I'm hoping that's going to be Mr. Fisher.
Same. It was one of my highlights of the season last year when Min won this. But if any horse can win it with a P next to its name, it's probably Min. Let's get on to the big one then of the day. It's not Ryanair Day, it's Stayers Hurdle Day. We still call it that. Paisley Park coming back in the 305. Pat Cooney, tell us about the market here before we get the guys' selections.
Well, Paisley's been 2 to 1, hasn't he? It was all about him and Time Hill a week or so ago, but he's now not with us. Paisley Park 2 to 1. And again, I think he's one of them. He comes with a bit of a health warning, doesn't he? He was disappointing a year ago. I don't see him getting much shorter than that. I think he might be one where bookmakers maybe just taking him on with last year very much in mind. The mover has been Fury Road for the Gigginstown colours, and that has a decent run last time out of Navan. This is a sort of race where he's 2 to 1. You can take him on, I think, really at his price. Lisnagar Oscar has been the mover since he had a wind-up, hasn't he? It was a good comeback run from him. Reigning champion. I think punters are looking for each way alternatives rather than lumping on this favourite. The Storyteller top sale liabilities as we speak. That's the each way horse, and why not with those figures? 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. But this is a base about yes, can win. Value, no. take him on with something each way.
Okay, so on RPRs, the worst of the last 10 years was last year. That was Listener Oscar. Loved his comeback run. I say comeback because it was after a wind up. You know, it was a return to form. Had it been more rain, he probably would have been my headline tip. I got 4 on there. Paisley's one of them. You look at his good ground record. You look at Cheltenham. If Paisley turns up, we know he had his irregular heartbeat last year. If the real Paisley turns up, for me, he just wins. But there are alternatives, and there is a sneaky one on there.
Well, there's a sneaky one for me. But the thing about Paisley Park is if he's the horse of 2 years ago, 2-1 is absolutely massive.
It's huge.
No
Time Hill.
If he's just what he is against Time Hill this year, it's tiny bit stingy. He still makes him the one to beat, but it hasn't separated him from the rest really. You know, so you take your choice with him, don't you? He's a 2-1 shot. If that's the way you like to bet, I like to bet against him. But there's a horse in the race that I think has still shown that he's got a hell of a lot of ability this year. He's coming back over hurdles. If the cap fits, run 4 times for Harry Fry, who's not had a great season, but he's run really well for a horse that cannot jump to save his life. Right? And he wasn't even a very good jumper over hurdles, was he? But
not really.
The last time he ran in a double-figure field on good ground over 3 miles, he won a Liverpool hurdle, beating Apples Jade and Roxana. And he may have only scrambled home, but he would have won easy if he had to walk straight through the last.
Yeah.
He only ran in the Cleve. He ran in the Cleve next time. 2 starts later. There's the only other run on over 3 miles, and that was on soft ground. There was something wrong with him then because he didn't run again afterwards. He's had 4 runs over fences, and like I said, he's a terrible jumper, but he's actually shown a fairly high level of form even so. So I think he's still got a lot of ability. He was 33-1 last night, and I thought that was a reasonable each way with the extra places. And the other one I've backed is Fury Road. Basically, that Albert Bartlett form is obviously red hot, and he hasn't really had the chance to show how much he's improved since last season.
Yeah, his conqueror last time, Beacon Edges in the race, of course. DJ, where's the play?
Just on if the cap fits, I have a theory with him, and maybe he was wrong that day, but I think he hates Cheltenham. I think he hates hills. And that day he ran the Cleve, he travelled brilliantly, and I thought the second last he was going to give Paisley Park a big fright, and he just hated the hill. So I don't know what if the cap fits. Obviously, he's a huge price, and Heels is a genius, so I won't say he has no chance. I think Beacon Edge is a big chance here of the Gigginstown ones. I think he's underrated. I think his form is stacking up. But as regards the most likely winner, I think it's definitely Sire de Burleigh. 3 seconds quicker, he won the Pertemps final in last year compared to the Stayers Hurdle, and just absolutely loves the track. The way the race is going to be ran really will suit him. He's just, I often think in the Stayers Hurdle, unless you're really, really good, like really talented, you need just loads of heart, loads of bottle. You need to get down and dirty, and I think he's the horse that can do that. I think he's the one, like he was given the Storyteller £3 last year, and he beat him fair and square, and everything I thought went perfectly for the Storyteller. I think they could be the key horses in the race.
Cotter.
I think it could be last year's final. And to me, I think it's very hard to pick holes in Sire de Burleigh.
Okay, it was a couple of audio issues there with DJ, but you got it, Sire de Burleigh. That was a comprehensive wrap of the Stayers Hurdle. Now we're going to have to whistle through these next 3 races, chaps. I was a bit in with Bruce Millington. We've been this week, and the pleasure of having Bruce in, and he said this is like staring down Amen Corner at the Masters. These last 3 races, starting in the 340 with the plate. In a couple of words only, give us the play.
We've only got 100 runners to go through for the last 3 races.
Listen,
Give us a couple of minutes.
Tips will do.
Right, okay, Far Class. Really like the idea of a furlong shorter than Leopardstown last time.
Yeah.
And on decent ground, former Triumph Hurdle winner, charged up the hill on this course. And Happy Diva, just, if she hadn't been brought down and fallen in 2 runs in the big November handicap, she'd have been in the frame every single time she's run at Cheltenham over fences. And so obviously she was second in the race, simply the bets last year.
Okay, super duper. DJ, we've got you back there. I think we probably have. What wins the plate?
I think the Shunter is a worthy favourite. I think he's got a cracking chance. But the one I like at a double figure price is Phil's Dudare for Joseph O'Brien and Dunamyler. Good form tied in with NYLN. And even against Colreevy on his first run for Joseph, I thought that was a real eye-catch and run when he fell. I think he could be well handicapped up 145. And the double figure price, I think he'll be bang there.
That's my pick as well. Happy days, Pat Cooney.
Wait for Envoy Allen to get beat, because then you drift.
Well, he might well. It's all about unbelievable things.
Till 2032, Paul.
Nice one, DJ. And listen, if you want to know more from Paul Kealy, funnily enough, he doesn't mind answering you on Twitter. There you go. Hung him up to dry there, but he's absolutely loving it this week, he is. Pat Cooney, the plate, in as succinct a fashion as you possibly can. Who's going to go off Fav?
Well, the shunter will go off Fav. He's going to spend his career going off Fav with the hype about him. But there's value around elsewhere in the market. Mr. Whitaker appeals to me. Course and distance form, spring horse, go well. But we have laid two at big prices in the office. Old Grangewood and the Unit of Alan King at a big price. So again, shop around for value. There's the shunter's making the market if you don't fancy him.
Okay, great stuff. You saw me checking my phone there because I'm wondering what time the Mayor's race is. We've got to go to the Mayor's novice. And I've got to go to DJ here because basically this is one for Ireland, DJ, isn't it?
Well, I think so, yeah. It's trying to figure out which one in Ireland, though. I'm not quite sure. Like, Roy Cahill apparently is working like no horse has ever worked before. Rosie's Hollow was very impressive last time. Look, the one I think the race would suit best is Hook Up. I was obviously devastated not to see Paul Townend on her because I presume she was the number one. Like, I just think the fact there's only 2 hurdles in the final 7 furlongs will suit her, and that run behind appreciated. And tying in form with Blue Lord, who would have been second in the sprint, I think that's cracking form. I really do. I think Hook Up has got a massive chance, and I do think for the home team, I think the Glancing Queen will run well. I don't know if she's quite good enough to win, but I think she'll finish the first 3 or 4. So I wouldn't put anybody off back in her each way. But my first choice would be Hook Up.
She's got Cheltenham form, of course. The first 6 in the betting, I think, are Irish trained, aren't they? Rosie's Hollow's a horse that I've been with the last couple of times. I'll stick with her. Tell Me Something Girl was a massive eye catcher as well in the handicap one by Heaven Help Us.
Did a few previews. Lots and lots of love for her, and she went from 14s and pretty much halved in price and got even shorter.
And it's that firm, isn't it?
And half of that Henry de Bromhead. I'm with DJ for once. I like Hook Up. That run behind Appreciate It. I mean, let's face it. Blue Lord would have been second in the Supreme. Ballyadam ended up being second in the Supreme. Hook Up was 4th in that race. And Galloping de Champs was 6th, I think, and has been smashed off the boards for the Martin Pipe on Friday in that handicap. That's just a red-hot piece of form.
Yeah.
I actually had a little each-way double Hook Up and Galloping de Champs, just in case it really does show up well. She's the one to beat for me.
The Dublin Racing Festival has been the place to go to for winners really coming out of it. Yeah, okay, 5-1 then, Pat Cooney. Again, nice and succinct. Royal Kahala going to go off Fav. She was beat by Rosie Solo last time.
Yeah, it's 11-2 the field, and Willie Mullins has won all 5 runnings of this race, and we just presumed when we priced the race up way back in the autumn that it'd have an even money favourite in the race. This is just an impossible looking race. I actually think Mighty Blue of Joseph O'Brien might have some sort of a chance. Decent flat horse in the 90s and the 100s. Drying ground might see an improved run. This is going to be a low turnover race. We could just get a surprise result in this one. So stakes to a minimum for this one for me. But Mighty Blue each way at a big price.
Okay, unlike previous years, we've got hot favourite, really wide open. Okay, we've got to go to the Kim Muir. I thought that obviously no amateur riders is what I'm trying to get out this year. That can make it interesting. It's basically, I want to say a lesser Ultima, isn't it? Basically, because usually the amateurs give it its spice. I thought, having looked and applied trends and things like that and looked at form and things like this, I was like, oh, I've got a nice short list of 4. They're the top 4 in the market. And of course, the 5th one would be your selection,
Yeah,
Shantu.
I had a short list of 1 about a month and a half ago, to be honest. As soon as I saw Shantu Flyer come out, his form at Cheltenham's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he fell in the National Art Chase behind Manila Rocco, but he's been in the frame in handicaps from 149 to 156 at Cheltenham for 5 times, I think. Was beaten a neck by Q-Star Civilu in the 2018 Ultima. Vintage Clouds was 3rd. He's been placed in 2 Fox Hunter chases since as well, having gone down that route to be ridden by David Maxwell, and won most of the other hunter chases he ran in as well, but dropped £20 in the handicap from the 157 to be put up down to 137. He's up a little bit now. He's up to 140.
Nichols wasn't happy with that.
Having run really well for Angus Chelada, Paul Nichols wasn't happy with the fact that they put him up £5 for the second time. Complained, got £1 given back.
Damned the company all over again.
Company. The last one we remember, Nikki Henderson complaining last year, got a couple of £1 back, and she won with a lot more than that in hand. I think off a mark of 140, I know he's 11, but Harry Cobden is on now. He cannot finish out the frame. I will be much, much the poorer if he does.
Oh, let's hope Nichols gets one in. Let's go if he gets one in today. It could be Shantu. Dave, Mount Ida, tell me about her. All the Shrewdies jumping on this one.
Yeah, everybody seems to be jumping on her. I'm not convinced she's spectacularly well handicapped like most punters seem to think. Like, she's rated 142. Has she done enough to be rated 142? It's obviously she's open to more improvement, and we probably haven't seen the best of her yet. She was well beaten by Colreevy. Colreevy obviously has a big chance in the Mayor's Chase on Friday. To me, the value has gone with her. Look, for the last I don't know how long, a month anyway, I fancied Daisha Abba for this. He's a massive drifter this morning. He's out to 17 or 18 on the exchanges. He's the double figure price now, Bet365. I just think he was fifth in the race last year. It's one of the angles that I like going into the festival. Horses that have ran in the same race previously. He was fifth in it last year off the same mark. He looked a big threat coming down the hill and just didn't quite get there. I liked his performance stand down. I thought he hit the line hard, and he off the same mark with Richard Johnson back aboard. I think he's got a massive chance. I can't believe he's drifting the way he has.
I think it's probably on account of the ground, DJ, isn't it? He was on one of mine as well. I'm going to throw one into the mix as well. He doesn't like winning, Older Note, but he ticks every single box. He's got the ground. He's been well found in the market. But that in Rillo form last time at Newbury, bumped into a progressive one there. Second time back of a window. Might just have a bit. What, Hold the Note? Oh, he's turned into a right old.
Done by Imperial Oil.
Told him right off. Oh, there's been some swipes. Pat Cooney, the final race to Muir. Who will go off fab? Mount Ida has been a right old gamble.
Yeah, let's just hope we're all in front coming into this race, because we don't want to be needing snookers coming into this one. As things stand, Mount Ida is favourite. Much depends on how the Jack Kennedy, Denise Foster combo are going on the day. The sexy horse has been Plan of Attack, though. I mean, he was fourth in the race a year ago, bit better off today. Rachel Blackmore, Henry de Bromhead. Blinker's first time, very sexy profile. I suppose Mount Ida would just about go off favourite, but Shantou Flower, as Keel said, has got that solid profile. He may just end up going off favourite for me, Shantou Flower. Winning is a different thing. I'm still in the Hold the Note section. I know it's a dwindling bandwagon we're on here, but there's no denying he's well handicapped on his form a year ago. Had wind up, ticks a lot of boxes from an each-way angle. We're first five. I could see him being in the frame. I wouldn't be surprised if Shantou Fly does go off favourite, though.
I'm glad you mentioned Plan of Attack back, because that's the five that if you apply everything to the race, we've covered them all. So when you look at the Muir, you think it's impossible. There you go. It's going to be an absolute belt. I really, really enjoyed this show, and I'm going to really enjoy listening to the naps. Dave, we know your nap. Maybe a next best. Imperial Alcazar, followed by...
Imperial Alcazar obviously would be my number one. He's my number one of the week. It would be Daisha Abba actually in the Muir in the final race. I know you're worried about the ground, but he won on good soft ground. It was only 2-runner race at Catterick, but he seemed to handle it fine that day. I think he'd be okay. Keep
the faith then. I guess if Team Hobbs have been doing slightly better, we might be have seen a bit more love. I'm going to nap Mr. Fisher, but the double penalty on him. Just sit third or fourth, Nico, please. We will come up the hill best.
Shantou Flyer.
Shantou Flyer at a price in the Muir for Keels. Pat Cooney, complete the quintet.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Fury Road to win the Stayers Hurdle against Paisley Park.
Okay, happy days. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to Dave Jennings, Paul Kealy and Pat Cooney for Bet365. Thanks to you for watching. Oh, I really enjoyed that. It just shows you we're half-time at the Cheltenham Festival. It's all still ahead of us. Don't get FOMO yet. The fear of missing out won't come until, I think, probably the Martin Pipe race. We've got loads ahead of us. Like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to download the free must-have Racing Post app. You can do that on the Google Play Store or the Google Store itself. And, of course, safe gambling. Enjoy the sport.